The Philippine president pushed for a gradual reopening of ASEAN borders. Duterte is baiting for the gradual reopening of the ASEAN borders to trade and tourism as rising vaccination levels give their governments more confidence in easing restrictions. In his own words, the president said, "It is also time that we open our borders safely to reinvigorate our trade and tourism sectors." Duterte said that in a speech during the 16th East Asia Summit held video conference last October 27. I think Mr. President is forgetting something, that our neighbors are reopening and we are not. The Philippine border has been closed to foreign tourists since March 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and the 30 days visa have been suspended since then. Only former Filipinos and immediate families of Filipinos and certain foreign nationals holding existing valid Philippine visa have been allowed. So to say, yes, we have been, travel to the Philippines have been severely restricted. And the Philippine Department of Tourism previously reiterated that the country will first focus on domestic tourism. So there is no clear timeline yet as to when foreign tourists will be allowed to visit local destinations in the country. And this was last year. According to the IATF co-chairperson Carlo Nograles, the focus will be on domestic tourism and international tourism will come later. In his words, he also said, "Let's first start with domestic and then let's see. And then we can slowly reopen international tourism. Step by step." It's almost been a year, sir. What's the update? But domestic tourism in the Philippines haven't been easy. As the COVID cases went up, the Philippine government had to reinforce restrictions, suspend domestic tourism activities. Yeah, it's been a difficult road for domestic tourism in the country. But the Philippines has made progress for the last 2 months in dealing with the Delta surge, and the vaccination rates in the country have increased dramatically since then, especially in the National Capital Region, while other regions are to follow, specifically Cebu, Clark, Davao, because those areas have been in priority when it came to the vaccination rollout. And they are very optimistic that we'll reach the 50% target by the end of this year. How can the Philippines reopen then? It's simple. The Philippines needs to further shorten the quarantine, go back to testing upon arrival, or find alternative accommodation for foreigners, or even yet, do away with quarantine for the fully vaccinated travelers who can show a negative test result. Because what I can see, guys, the only reason for me that I can see here, the only logic here, the only reason that foreign tourists are still not allowed in any parts of the country is that with quarantine, we don't have enough hotels to accommodate everyone. But another option is we can allow them and just put them in quarantine just like Filipinos. If a fully vaccinated Filipino can quarantine for 5 days and be safe from spreading COVID, how different is a foreigner who is also fully vaccinated, diba? But there is actually hope as well that they will actually really remove the quarantine, since a sub-technical working group has already been created to propose and formulate recommendations for special pilot testing and quarantine protocols for green and yellow list countries. The pilot testing is that no quarantine, you just need to show a negative test result. We're still waiting for more info about that. When would it start? Who will participate? Who is covered? But for now, it's been confirmed that pilot test will be done. Now, when the Philippines removes quarantine, there's absolutely no reason not to allow foreign tourists. We need some pumping up in our economy, don't we? According to the latest report of Bloomberg's in their COVID resilience ranking, the Philippines fares among the worst on vaccine coverage, with just 26% of the population covered amid challenges in bringing shots to areas outside the big cities. So it's basically telling us that the Philippines is the worst place to be in COVID time. Sad. But local destinations are showing that they want to open. Take Aklan, for example. Aklan prepares Boracay for international tourists. The Aklan provincial government is currently preparing Boracay for international tourists as the number of residents who have been fully vaccinated increases. According to their governor, Florencio Miraflores, last October 22, he is hoping that Aklan will be among the first tourism sites in the country to receive international flights. I have recently met with different airline companies. I am telling them that we are now opening our doors for tourists in Boracay. This is domestic tourists. But when it comes to international tourism, it's always the IATF that decides. This panel of experts with different government agencies head and the president. Earlier, even last year, oh goodness, they've been talking about the sandbox scheme, copying Thailand, but how many months would it take for us to copy? The Department of Tourism Western Visayas said it is also preparing Boracay to promote internationally amid the COVID-19 pandemic. And Arthur Thugade of the Department of Transportation said that the airport in Boracay is now prepared to welcome more tourists because it's upgraded its state-of-the-art capabilities, so why don't we use it? I just feel like there is no government official who's really putting the foot forward to make things happen. Like, I just don't see it. Like, Thailand is fully gonna be reopening soon. Malaysia, Singapore has reopened, Bali. Yep, they've reopened, but there's quarantine, but at least they're open. We have foreigners who want to come here. It's not because of the beach. No, it's about our culture and their loved ones here. The Philippines is easy to sell to them. They want to come here. They want to, they need to. They've been waiting for so long. And I think if the Philippine government would just, put effort to look at the protocols that could be implemented, it could happen. It's possible. Why not?
Help us reunite with our loved ones. Please.
Please, Philippines.
Please, Philippines. Please.
Please, Philippines.
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 Philippines.
Please. Please, Philippines. Love is not tourism.
Please, Philippines.
Please lift the ban that we can be with our loved ones, because love is not tourism.
Please, Philippines. I just want to go home so I can meet my boyfriend.